product, the process, the people. Ethos Decorum.
My name is Clara Cornelius, and I am a visual artist and a graphic designer. My visual art focuses on marbling, fabric, and paper. I wanted to be an artist since I was little. Through middle school, through high school, I studied art with some wonderful teachers who really mentored me. And then I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn to study communication arts and photography. Graphic design was kind of a perfect fit for me. I love typography and I love kind of all things about communication arts. I've always loved the way marbling looks. So as a designer, whenever I would see it, it was always one of those like, yes, that's so beautiful. What is that? But I never really knew what that was. And so once I kind of became involved with Pyramid as their designer in residence, I started to take classes here. I took screen printing classes and letterpress classes. And then I saw a demonstration one day of someone doing a marbling paper. And it was immediately just taken like under the spell right away. I was like, I have to do that. And so I took a class here about a year and a half ago, and I was just like immediately addicted. It's mesmerizing, it's hypnotic, and I love how expressive it is, and yet how there is an element of control to it. Unlike painting on a canvas, there are certain parameters that you can't really mess with, right? There is like this bath has certain kind of, it has a certain size, and the way that the pigments meet and never kind of mix together, there are certain kind of graphic quality to that. So once I started doing it, I just kind of couldn't stop. Prior to learning marbling, I was screen printing a lot. And so I've kind of moved towards marbling as my kind of main kind of visual art medium because it has this sort of like chaotic nature that I can then control after the fact by making it into a paper collage. Bringing my kind of designer head into this process, I'm very strategic about kind of the bigger picture of what I want to make. So I'll have an idea about the final piece, what size it's going to be, what the kind of intention of it is, what the materials are, what kind of colors I want. But then the process itself can be kind of experimental and ebb and flow. So the marbling portion of the process can be, kind of expressive, and there's always surprise in that. I'll start with an idea about color, and then that idea can kind of be fluid as I'm working, and I'll end up maybe in a different place. And then once I have the paper and I have like the raw material made, and I'm working up here in the studio cutting or collaging, then that's kind of another phase, and I may have a drawing or I may have a sketch that is, kind of the basic idea, but as I'm working, things are occurring to me. So there's like an element of experiment in every stage of the process. But it's mostly just those two main pieces. It's the marbling component, and then there's this extra level of what am I doing with this? How am I making it into a more complex piece? I really love art that is either immersive physically or kind of world-making, things you can really dive into that have detail and that have layers to them, whether or not the layers are physical or they just feel deep. I'm really into that. So when I see the marble pieces, just the flat paper, it's beautiful, but I want there to be something else. I want there to be something deeper that you're seeing or feeling. And so to kind of deconstruct it by making into cut paper collages, either to make them feel kind of cosmic and hypnotic, or to make them feel more graphic or sometimes even a little bit funny, like adds another layer, adds like a point of view that I think is really important. I like things that are very deep and textural and layered. I like things that surprise and delight. So I feel like, the work I make, I want it to have like texture and dimension that kind of is surprising, that makes you look twice. At the same time, I want to create things that are very joyful and are full of just energy and power, that feels like there's emotion in it. Right now, I'm working on taking all of this paper that I've made and fabric that I've made over the last year, and now refining it and shaping it into pieces, into finished pieces. I'm also looking at opportunities to exhibit some of these pieces and create some work that is more immersive, so that it's actually more experiential than necessarily just seeing works on a wall. I also want to look at maybe creating digital patterns of the marbled pieces that I make to apply them to different various substrates, wallpaper, apparel, what have you. I think marbling is it's such an emotional medium, and it's such an expressive medium that it appeals to just like, you know, a wide variety of people. So I would love to just kind of, you know, take a look at different ways that I can kind of put it out in the world. I am always so surprised at how almost everything that I'm doing in my life somehow ties back to my work and all ties together. So I find inspiration in everything. In my daughter, you know, I go to my daughter's school, see artwork on the wall the kids are doing, you know, just things that I see on the internet, you know, friends that I meet. I mean, walking down the street, there's inspiration in every step of the way. It's all over the place. You can't not be inspired. I'm often surprised when people are saying that, you know, they're blocked, because it's like there's inspiration everywhere, all over the place. Is that good?
That's good.
Okay.